Welcome to day 25 of Video a Day Debruary here on the Debsterism Channel. My name is Deborrah Cooper. I serve as the producer and host of this show. Today's show is the rebroadcast of a show done on my Blog Talk Radio program that aired originally back in 2010, I believe, 2011, something like that. Anyway, what it does is go over some of the qualities that I think are missing and women don't understand are necessary when you're trying to have a relationship that has long-term potential and that will be successful like a marriage. There are certain specific qualities that a man has when he makes a great boyfriend that are not what you need to look for when you're looking for a husband and you need other things. For instance, boyfriends are fun, they're sexy, they're just, laughs a minute. They're trying to keep you in a little bit of an unstable situation. I mean, you have great excitement with them and all that, but is that really what you need with a husband? With a husband, you need a guy who's dependable. He may not be that fun and exciting, but you can count on him. He's a great dad, things like that. So what this video does is go over some of those personality and behavioral traits and attitudes and points out to women what things are boyfriend traits and what things are husband traits and how those things will change your life if they're missing and eventually lead to divorce. Remember, as you go through this video, that the call-in number that I will occasionally be giving out applied to the show in 2010. It no longer applies. Do not call that number. You will probably get somebody, but it won't be me. And I just wanted to remind you of that. I hope you enjoy the show. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them down below the video, and I'll address them as soon as I see them. Thank you very much for listening. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and then the bell symbol so you can get instant notifications of when new content is uploaded. Share the video with friends and tell them about the channel. I'd appreciate that support. Bye-bye. Talk to you guys real soon.
Over the past 20 years, I've been involved in this relationship dating field. I have discovered that there are basically two types of men for single girls. Either there are guys that are great husbands, they make, husband material, or a man is boyfriend material. Now, the problem comes in, and a lot of women try to take a boyfriend and make him into a husband, and they run into problems, and ultimately they end in divorce. Because husbands, the qualities that make a man a great boyfriend are not at all what make him a great husband. Now, boyfriends, you may or may not take them home to meet your parents. There are some that are, sensitive, kind, and responsible types of guys, but for the most part, when a woman is in the dating around phase, that's not really who she's looking for. She wants somebody who is going to be exciting and fun and who's sexy and, slightly dangerous and kind of unstable, keeps her on an emotional edge. That's the kind of things that women are attracted to when they are just in boyfriend stage. Let's just put it that way. But by the time a woman changes her focus and she starts looking at men with an eye for a husband and a father as something long term, she's looking for something different. She's looking for a guy who's sensitive and dependable, who's hardworking and focused. My own personal things would include a man who is intelligent and well-read, and I like a guy who cooks. He may not dress in the flashiest, newest fashion, but he dresses in a way that's comfortable, and he looks like the person he is, which is a responsible man that cares more about his family and his woman than he does having on the latest gear and the matching shoes and all that kind of thing. So that's our topic for tonight. We're going to talk about the qualities that make a man a great husband, as well as how a guy shows that that's what he is. Now, this is where we're really going to get into some really dynamic discussion, and I hope the guys come. So if you guys have a way to get out there and do Twitter or, post something, send a link to your friends, do that, because I'm really particularly interested in what women are looking for, as well as what guys, what are they offering? What are they going to do to show a woman that they are a good husband? Now, this comes out of a conversation that we had on the show about 3 weeks or so ago. The topic was, about women and education and what women are looking for as far as having a man who was as educated as they were. So part of that conversation morphed over to include men, other qualities of a husband that women were looking for. The shocking thing was that chat was full of men. I mean, just all kinds of guys showed up for that conversation. But when asked by my co-host, well, okay, you say that you're a good man, you say that you're a good husband, you have all this expertise in being a great man. How would you prove that to a woman? You're saying it, but how would she ever know that? What would you do to prove it? I mean, she's a dynamite co-host. I have to give my girl props, because that was an excellent, excellent question, and one I would have asked myself. So what was shocking, though, was here we are on a 90-minute show. Do you know not one of those men had an answer? Not one. So I'm thinking, okay, this needs further investigation, because you guys want to spout this rhetoric that you're a great husband, that you would be a great husband, that you're a, quote, good man, that you're something that a woman should choose. How would she know that? What are you going to do to prove that to her? And, we heard crickets. Phone lines dead, chat room stopped moving, everybody just sitting there with that look on their face. So, I wanted to know the answer to that. So I'm looking at the guys, tell me. I'm going to be the representative woman here. We got a lot of ladies showing up in the chat room one by one as the show launches. What would you do, guys? How are you going to show a woman that you are indeed the good man that she is looking for? I want to hear solid actions. I don't want to hear words. Oh, I'm a good man. I'm good. I don't want to hear all that. I want to hear what you're going to do. I want to hear it in actionable words, play by play. And ladies, for you, what is it that you have discovered that makes a man a good husband? What is it that you're looking for? And don't give me that old silly stuff that, I want a God-fearing man. I want a good man. I want a good black man. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear some solid, actionable things from the women as well. What is it that you are looking for your man to do to show you that he is indeed going to be a good husband? So the number to call in is 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad so that I know you want to be on the air. Your host tonight is me, the same and usual and customary person, Deborrah Cooper, a.k.a. Miss Heartbeat, the host of the show and advice columnist on AskHeartbeat.com, which is the largest and longest-running site on black male-female relationships on the Internet. It's been online for 12 years now, going on 13, which is almost unheard of in web years. So let's see, we got a caller from 215. What's your question or comment?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how you doing?
What's your question or comment?
All right, well, my name is Jay, and I go by the name RC or Relationship Counselor. I got my cousin on the line too. That's K.
Hi, what's up, y'all? My name is K Jr.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, I just wanted to just spit real quick for all of y'all that y'all can contact me at blogtalkradio.com/relationship.
No commercial. Come on, dude. You answer the question.
No, I'm about to get to that now. I just wanted to.
That first.
Huh?
Do that first. You do that first. That's rude. You don't do that.
Oh no! I mean, listen. It ain't like they got a set of guidelines there. I ain't know. So I mean, just don't.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
all right. Well, let me just go this detail by detail.
Talking about your business. Yeah. Come on now. Come on with the answer.
All right. Well, hold up. You know what? No, screw this damn radio show. Fuck this radio show real quick. Yep, right now.
Yeah, that's a good idea because you don't have the right attitude. So let's move on. Okay, caller from 843. What's your question or comment?
The topic right now.
Area code 843. I'm sorry, your mic's open now. What's your question or comment?
Hey, this T Minute. I just called. I know you got to do the show on Wednesday nights. What's the topic?
Oh, we're talking about. I'm trying to get a consensus from guys on what it is that they think makes them a good husband. You know, because I'm like, you know, because we had that show a couple of weeks. I don't remember if you were on it or not. We had a show a couple of weeks where we talked about what black women were looking for and how so many of them were wanting a guy that had, you know, similar levels of education. And one of the things that came up was, you know, the guys were saying, well, you know, women should be looking for that. That's not good. They should just look for a good man. Okay, well, what makes a guy good? What makes you better as a choice of a husband? If you leave out the aspect of education, you know, what qualities then do you possess that would make you, quote, a good husband? And how would you prove that? That was my number one question. I wanted to hear, like, actions that a guy would do to show a woman that he is that, you know, that type of guy, that he's that one. And they couldn't give any answers. Dude, I'm telling you, it was like crickets. Phone line was like, crick, crick, crick. And nobody had a response. Not one man could step up and say what he would do to show a woman and prove to her by his behavior that he was that guy. So that's my question I'm asking. You know, what do you plan to do?
All right, two things. First, I'm gonna answer your question. Then I'm gonna use a situation which why these educated women can't find men. It's a personal situation happened the other day. But first, the only thing I could tell and show that woman is I could be the best guy I could be. That's all I can do. I can't do it. I can't jump. I can't use a tricycle or jump through a flaming hoop. I can just be the best guy I could be. Now,
what does that mean? How do you do that, though? That's what I want. What do you do? I mean, you get up in the morning. What do you do to show her that?
There is no magic potion. That's the thing. There's no magic potion for that. A lot of guys, now I admit there are some BS guys out there that got hot and good, but most guys, you see it right then. That you know the man's hardworking. The man takes care of his kids. The man is attentive towards your needs. The man always will try to protect you the best way he can. But the thing is, what may be good for one woman, the next woman may feel like he's lacking. So it's all about finding that person that fits. Because I know what I bring to a relationship, it's not going to be for every woman. And I just feel like they got to find who fits what you bring to the table. It's all it is, really.
Okay. So what about, okay, let me be more specific.
Yeah,
so
please.
You're looking at, say a woman is, you know, how would you show a woman, for example, that you're dependable?
Well, seeing the fact that my car's an 08, I live in a great neighborhood, my credit's not bad, I think I'm dependable, that's more responsible, but I feel like that if she needs me, I'll be there. And the thing is, you won't know until it happens. And because some things you can't figure out in the first date. Some things only happen when a moment of crisis arrives.
Okay, well, I'm going to make a suggestion for guys that want to prove that they're dependable. Do what you say you're going to do. When you say you're going to do it. That is how you show a woman that you're dependable. If you say to her, I'm going to show up on Friday at 7 a.m. and we are going to clean out your storage shed, baby. Get your brother over here. Come on. Then at 6:59, you should be driving up. You see what I mean? That's what it means when you say dependable. That your word, like that old-fashioned thing where they say a man's word is his bond, that's what that means. If you're going to show your woman that you are decisive, when she asks, well, honey, what do you think? Give her an answer. Don't say, well, I don't know. Well, you know what you think. Okay, you sound crazy. And so that doesn't make her have confidence that you are a decisive man. You see what I mean? That's what I'm looking for. I want to hear from these guys, what is it that you're going to do to show your woman that you have these qualities that you say? Now, you were specific about showing that you're fiscally responsible, because that is important too when you're talking about getting married and having kids and stuff. You know, ain't nobody trying to get with somebody with bad credit, as they say. A little bad critic.
Hey,
yeah. We want you to have good credit.
Good credit, right? All right. You know what though? And also, that's what you're saying. That's where that goes. Fitting thing comes in. A man decisive. Some women view that as controlling. So you gotta find that person that fits. That's what it's all about. That right.
Well, if you try to decide her life without her asking you, yes, that's controlling. But if she asks for your opinion or, whatever, then she's looking for you to give her an answer. The door is open for you to share then. The problem comes in when some, guys want to try to rule and dominate and regulate on a woman. And, she hasn't asked you for your thoughts and opinions. She's handling her business herself. And, you shouldn't do that. What you do that for? That ain't the right way to do it. Okay, you are tripping. You need to be quiet. That's when it becomes a problem.
Now, I admit, I probably have one of the biggest egos on Blog Talk Radio. I admit that. And I'm very sure of myself. I'm going to share a personal experience right here. Because we talked about the women before. Now, I met this one sister. Beautiful sister, 28, no kids. She's an architect. But she's been single for years. And, so I said, okay, I'll talk to her and see what's up, because I look at more than a look. But the one thing that turned me off to her was that she know how to make time for a guy. Because I feel like you can make time what you want to make time for, no matter how busy you are.
That's right.
So I was like, okay. So I said, let's go out this weekend. I met a couple weeks ago. I said, I can't be stingy till Valentine's Day. Well, a lot of people don't realize a lot of nice places have so many good specials on Valentine's Day, so that come out all right. And first thing she said was, I don't know, my girlfriends are talking about getting together. So being my ego, I had to straight tell her, what, do you want a man for him to potentially be your husband, or you want to sit there with your bottle of wine and your dog every night and tell your girlfriend how much men think? What do you want? And I just left her alone right then. I just feel like that's part of being decisive.
That's part of being mean. You got to realize, Smitty. Wait, let me explain something. Valentine's Day is a big day to women. You would have probably had more success if you had picked the weekend after Valentine's Day or the weekend before, because of the fact that she just met you. Valentine, you know what I mean? That's kind of like that's got a lot of
put it like this.
Weight
I was
to
off
it.
work that weekend. I was off work that
You
weekend.
just mean.
That weekend.
You just mean. You mean.
Hey, I'll be honest. The next couple weekends I had to work and stuff, so that'd be the only weekend I could have off. So I was like, okay, let's just roll in. Nothing too serious. But I feel like if you want to really get to know me, the girlfriend's going the next weekend. No, I got to work it.
No, but you can't. You got to watch it. It's just like spending New Year's Eve with somebody. If you're not real sure about that person, you don't spend New Year's with that person. Just like Valentine's Day. If you're not real sure about the person, you don't spend Valentine's Day with that person, because that's like making a statement. It's like bringing somebody to meet your mama. Even though you might just be looking at it, oh, yeah, well, my mama just happened to be over here. We just going to meet her. The woman might be putting all kind of extra importance on it. And I'm telling you, unless a woman is into you, she's not going to do Valentine's Day with you. It's just not going to happen.
What?
So you might have jumped the gun, dude.
Actually, I was squeezed in before the All-Star game came on. But my thing is that, hey, it's like the girl. I was like, okay, your girlfriend said that a man's single. Hey, I'm stepping up, say, hey, let's go roll out. All on me. Now, if you want to, now you say your girlfriend. Now, mind you, my ego is I'm not gonna beg for those second dates. If you say you can't do it, then I'm not gonna ask you no more. That's just who I am. I know that sounds mean, whatever. But hey,
we're gonna have to have a private conversation and talk about this.
You know my number?
That's right. Let me write it down, because I'm gonna call you tomorrow.
So
we can talk about this.
Hey, oh me. But seriously, your topic though, I think that a lot of times, like I said, fitting, and that's where like communication comes in. A lot of people don't communicate. A lot of people are hopping a sack before they know what a person likes, and like where they going in life. A lot of people do that. So I feel like that you gotta communicate. Ask those hard-hitting questions. The person gonna stay or they gonna leave. Don't worry about running that person off, because you don't want to find out. Let's say you speaking of men looking for women, you don't want to find out the woman is like a total jerk or anything, irresponsible, lazy. 6 months down the line after you possibly gotten her pregnant or pop the question. You need to ask questions and observe her action, and it goes both ways on that.
Well, I have a bunch of people online, so I need to move on and get some of these calls in the way. But I will keep you on hold. So if you have another question, just raise your little hand, okay?
Yeah, we're gonna have
All right, caller, showing up 3, 4, 5, 6 at the end. That's you. Your mic's open. Hello. Hello, hello. Well, I guess they don't know that their mic is open because it's showing up really oddly. Anyway, give a call. The number is 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad, and I will know that you want to be taken on the air, and we'll get to your question or comment right away. Okay, caller 000, your mic's open again. What's your question or comment? Hello? Yeah, that's you. Your mic's up.
All right, nice. I just want to say that you're a feminist.
I am.
Really?
You have a problem with that?
Perfect, because I love feminists. They're freaking pro. Get these, don't you? So like, the guy keeps saying no, do you want to tell you, like, start flipping out, or what? What's going on with this? While you're a feminist.
Your mic is all breaking up, so we're going to put you on hold. And hopefully he can get his phone fixed, because I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but it sounds like something nobody want to hear anyway. So anyway, let's move on. 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad. And let's move on and talk about this thing about husband material. So, like I said, women have the hard-working, husband type in mind. And then they have the flashy, fun boyfriend type. Now, what we have is a lot of guys that I don't know what that was. I sound like his mic. Maybe he was on Skype or something, because it was like breaking up as far as what I could hear. I couldn't really understand what he was saying. But what happens is we get a lot of the guys that are, quote, the nice guys that have what a friend of mine termed nice guy resentment, because they feel like they've been passed over while they were younger for the guys that were flashy, and they don't understand that there's a phase of a female's life. In the early days, you're a serious kind of guy, and nobody's saying that that's bad. It's just that you're not at that point what a woman is looking for in her life. So they get angry that they get passed over until women are older. But dudes, that's just the way it is. So I can't help you. People go through different phases of life, and some people mature faster than others. Some people want to settle down and be married younger than others. Some people get married at 18, 19, 20 years old. Other people not until they're in their mid-30s. So it just depends upon what that person's goals are for themselves and for their life, and where they are mentally and emotionally. So because you like a woman does not mean she's obligated to like you back. And, or, to think that because you think that you're great, grand, and wonderful, that she has to agree. If you're not what she's looking for, just keep looking until you find the woman that is looking for a guy like you. And, by the time you're a woman are in their 30s, the script will flip. And the guys that were, the fun, lightheaded, big-headed, goofy guys will be in short demand, and guys like you will be in demand. So, it all comes in time, but you just have to wait until it's that time. So the guys who are, let me throw out some terms. Let me just put it this way. This is what I want to hear. From women, how have men demonstrated these traits to you? And from the guys, how have you demonstrated these what have you done behaviorally to demonstrate these personality traits and qualities to women? I'm going to throw out some, and you can call on any of them. Honesty, loyalty, compassion, commitment, communication. How about those? Let's start with those 5. That's communication, loyalty, honesty, compassion, and whatever else I said, I forgot. They made sense when I said them. So anyway, the number is 347-327-9215. That's 347-327-9215. Looking for people to call in and share how they showed that they had these qualities and what they did to demonstrate them. Now, like I said to the young man who was calling, it's very important. Like, if you're going to show a woman that you are a person that can be depended on, you're dependable. You're there for the people that need you. You would do that by when they need you, you're right there. They don't have to hunt you up. They don't have to beg you for assistance. You do what you say you're going to do it. You do things when you say you're going to do them. That way, the people that you claim to care about trust that you will be there for them when they need you. There's a certain level of relaxation that goes on, and walls come down. You're able to have a deeper, richer relationship with people when you are a man or woman of your word. So that is one thing. You see a lot of guys kind of blowing women off and, making light of their problems and telling them, just kind of giving them a brush off. That does not show her that you're dependable. And let's say another thing. This situation came up with a friend of mine the other day. She comes in from work with her live-in boyfriend, and she says, I'm really tired. I had a really rough day at work. There was a lot of conflict, and, it was just very stressful. So she makes dinner, and she's like, I just, want to get in the bed, take a hot bath, and go to bed. That does not mean that you need to get in the bed with her and start wanting some booty. Now, this is the same man who told her that his back was hurting and he couldn't go to the gym with her that evening because he had to go back and, his back is supposed to be hurting. But he can get some booty. So she was just, that's what I mean. So his actions and his words did not match. So it made her pull back and look at him sideways. So it's like, you two, you can't support me in my effort to try to lose weight by working out with me like you said you were going to, but you want to get some booty. No. And I told you I was tired. So he's like trying to rub on her and all this old stuff. But he basically was just looking to, get his own needs met. He wasn't about helping her feel better or do anything to meet her needs for, support and encouragement. He basically left, just abandoned her, and then he's kind of worrying about himself. That kind of behavior is guaranteed to push a woman away. Okay, caller, 718, your mic is open. What's your question or comment?
Well, my comment about the traits that men can demonstrate to show that they are worthy mates or husband material. I just think of the story about my brother-in-law before he married my sister. He had a lot of traits, but he actually demonstrated those traits by bettering himself so that he can be a husband and a family. He met my sister when my sister was in college, but he wasn't in college. He was in just a knockabout job. And he might have, and I'm sure he was honest. I'm sure he was loyal. I'm sure he was all of those things. But his actions didn't really demonstrate that, to his satisfaction. I mean, he liked my sister, and he realized that in order for him to, step up and be the man that he saw, to be the man to her that he felt like he needed to be, because he saw that she was in school trying to better himself. He realized that he needed to go and do some things to better himself, because he wanted to, he was serious about her. So he, he went to school for about a couple of years and got an associate's, and then he joined the Air Force, and then went back and got his degree, and then just kept moving up through the ranks in the military, and then they got married, and they're still married to this day. They've been married over 20 years, and he's demonstrated over and over again. He's retired. He's taken care of his family, bought them a home. He says that my kids will always have a roof over their head. He's dependable. Always held down a job. He's there. He'll do what he says he'll do. Not only is he supportive of his family, but also neighbors depend on him. So,
wow.
I think what women, everywhere they go, the neighbors just fall in love with him. I mean, he cuts not only their grass, but, the neighbors next to them. One lady even gave him, I think, like I don't know how much that expensive riding lawnmower had that she never used. She just gave it to him because he would just go cut her grass all the time with his walking lawnmower. But he's just a good man.
Aww.
And so, he demonstrated over and over again. He says, my kids will never go hungry. They're going to have an education. I'm going to work myself, so that I can provide for my family. And so these are things that, he did, and he started making those decisions to be the man that he knew he needed to be to get the woman that he wanted. And I think these are the things that women look for. Men can have all the traits that they want, but if a woman can't see that this man is demonstrating those traits, that he can be a husband and provide for his family through his actions, then those traits that he claims to have is just really not worth a hill of beans if there's no proof. And my brother-in-law demonstrated that he can prove that. So I think that's
important.
Yeah. So that was just my comment on that.
Okay, thank you. That was a good one.
I would love to hear from the guys to see what they say that they would do.
Me too. They're being all quiet and all, shy and stuff. They just blowing up the phone.
Yeah, which is really telling. I mean, they don't seem to, be able to answer the question. I'm interested in hearing, because all day long they can talk about what women ought to do. If you ask the question, what do you think a woman ought to do to be wifey material? They'll tell you all day long about that. But when you turn around and ask them, they'll come up with these vague things. They must do this, or they must support. But what do you do to support? What did my brother-in-law do to support? Well, he bettered himself through his career so he can make the money to be a husband and a family. So these are things that women are talking about. So it's
that's
cool.
it. That's the whole purpose of the show. I'm looking for the guys to tell me not just the words, but how do you step up physically? What do you do? And, women need to know what you do, dudes, not what you say. You just talking out the side of your neck. That don't mean nothing. Right. I want to know what you're going to roll up your sleeves and do to prove that you are this, quote, good man that you say you are.
And then
why should a woman believe you?
I think a lot of times men will start throwing up Bible, and to say, well, men's supposed to do this and this and this spiritual, which, I tend to believe that men use the Bible to suit them, to suit their own purpose, maybe to control women or and I think, not everybody is a Christian. So if you take that out of it, still it doesn't answer the question, what do you do? And they can come up with all these traits. Well, I'm honest. I have self-respect. Oh, I support them. Oh, I do this. But what does that mean? I can look at my brother step by step. He saw he was just in a custodial, dead-end job, not making more money. He looked and saw a woman that he wanted. What did he do? Step 1, he got his associate degree. Step 2, he joined the military. Step 3, he moved through the ranks. Step 4, got his bachelor's degree. Step 5, he made, then he proposed to my sister after he proved that he did this and this. Step 4, I can look step by step what he did to be the man that he is, So, but I don't really see men doing that. He's the one. My brother-in-law is the one that he invests their money. He went out and got these mutual funds and all these investments and things that he handles his business. He takes care of his wife, and his daughters. His daughters are in all kinds of extracurricular activities. And he would be the first one to tell his daughters, do not get involved with a man who has not proven that he is worthy of your time. And my niece, she's 15 years old, and she right now will not even think about entertaining a man. She is very much involved in what she wants to do. With school, that's her priority, and whoever comes in her life down the line, they're gonna have some big shoes to fill, because she's got a really good example by her dad. But it seems like men today, they're influenced by the hip hop culture, and they just look for women to do everything, and they really can't step up and say specifically, step by step, what they do. I'm waiting for a guy to call in so I can hear what he says. So.
I would love that too. They're making some comments in the chat room, but I've yet to hear some. I want to hear some on the phone. But thank you. Made some excellent points, and points well taken. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you heard it, guys. We're looking for some what I call actionable items, things that you actually do to prove to a woman that you are this, quote, good black man. I would love to say, I'm a good black man. I'm a good black man. But what the hell does that mean? I mean, what does that mean? That means nothing. I want to see what you're going to do to prove it to me. I'm from Missouri. You got to show me. Don't be talking, because, one of the number one games that men will run is, players will run on you. It's a whole bunch of conversation, but they don't do squat. So, if you really are such a good man, you should be willing to put actions behind your words. A woman's so busy seeing what you do that she's not listening to a word you say, because she's watching what you're doing. And That's what I want to hear from the guys, because we had this long list of, traits that men rattled off on previous shows about what they were, how they were qualified to be a good husband and things they would do. I'll support her. I work hard. I do this. I do that. But, so you would have a job whether you was with her or not. So that's not anything you're doing for her. And as far as, paying your bills, okay, well, you were single, you did that, so that's not for her. What are you doing for her to prove to her that you would be a good husband for her, good husband material versus just a boyfriend? And, once again, we are having crickets on the phone, waiting for these guys to call in. I had 6 callers on the line. I don't know if there was a switchboard error or what. Everybody just hung up at the same time, but oh well. So let me move on. Let me refresh your memory about the traits I'm looking to hear. Men, how would you demonstrate these things? Honesty, loyalty, compassion, dependability, commitment, and communication. Those are 6 highly important aspects of a relationship that if you have those things in place, those foundational behaviors in place, 99% of relationships, I think, would survive and be very, very, very positive. Now, women, how do you know that a guy considers you to be wifey material? What is it that, you think that you do to kind of bring his thinking around in that direction? That would be a good thing to discuss as well. Because, we've had these guys come on here talking about, women that, they sleep around, they jump off, they're this, they're that. And it's kind of interesting because some of the guys didn't seem to have a problem with it. They're like, we slept together on the first date. We've been married for 25 years. And, this kind of thing. So there's not necessarily a guarantee that chastity is the way to go. It just seems like some men have a very open-minded attitude about that, and others are very, very closed and very judgmental about women's sexuality. So I think a woman would have to pay special attention to, what kind of guy that she has in that situation. But how do you prove to a man that you would be a good wife? That's an interesting side aspect of this, because we're looking for men to prove they would be a good husband. But I'm not hearing any men, coming up to the plate with their behaviors specifically. So let me give a few little ideas. I have a few ideas. Communication. This is key. Because if you have poor communication in your relationship, you don't have nothing. You will constantly have conflict and strife. And one of the chief things that women seem to look for in communicating with their man is for him to listen. I mean, really listen. You may have noticed even on this show, when we're having conversations and the women are saying something, the men tend to interrupt and talk over the women. Like what they have to say is so much more important, and what she has to say is not worth listening to. That's basically the message that you're communicating. You do that enough times to your wife, she's going to feel totally disrespected and uncared about. Don't be surprised when your marriage starts to suffer, or your relationship, and things kind of get chilly in your bedroom. That is your fault. You need to shut up and stop talking. Listen more. Men don't listen enough. And, you make a woman feel heard, and that you care about what she feels like when when that happens, and her heart is warmed by your embrace of what she has to say and what she thinks. Her whole body is open to you. But you act a fool and, start trying to shut her down. I don't feel like hearing that shit. I don't want to hear that. This kind of stuff, rolling your eyes. And like I said, one of my friends was telling me a story about a girl from one of her neighbors whose husband, when the woman was trying to talk to her husband, he would go ding, ding, ding while she was talking. Okay, you know what? She's just like hating him right now. Their marriage is on the rocks. But it's, that kind of situation that shows a lack of respect for his wife's feelings and her thoughts. Very, very bad thing. Also, and communication. Okay, when asked a question, have an answer for her, please. Don't leave her hanging. If it's something about your kids or the house or something, she's looking for your input. And it's not like, you have to come down like a caveman, like, this is what we're going to do, woman. But she's like, looking for your thoughts. So she's going to share hers. Have some input. I mean, you both going to live there. They're just, both of those are your kids. So help make decisions that concern your household. Don't just say, well, I don't know nothing about all that. That's woman stuff. Or, why don't you just make the decision? Don't do that to her. Show yourself to be a caring, supportive person by offering your involvement and assistance in every way possible. Every time she comes and asks you a question, have some input. It could be something as simple as, honey, what do you want for dinner? Do you want chicken or do you want steak? Pick one. I don't know. I don't care. Pick one. Even if you don't really care, just pick one anyway. Okay. So, and that would make things a lot better. Okay. So that's communication in one aspect. Arguments, we should try to avoid at all possible, every possible moment. Stop trying to, don't argue. It's not really, it's counterproductive. So, you guys have a difference of opinion. That's fine. They should be able to approach some kind of middle ground with calm conversation. Name calling is not necessary. Insulting your partner, the way they're thinking, their behavior. Well, that's stupid. Well, what kind of ass backwards way is that to say something? You just think crazy. You women. That kind of stuff. Those are insults. There's no way in this world that is going to get you far, guys. I'm telling you right now. That's poor communication, poor methods of communication, and guaranteed to push your woman away. Okay, so you avoid those kind of things. You do the opposite. You say, well, honey, I see you're upset. This is getting a little heated. Why don't we chill out for a minute? You guys want to be considered the leaders and stuff. You want to be the man. Take the leadership role then. That doesn't mean you beat your chest and act a fool. It just means when you see stuff is getting out of control, take control. Do it respectfully, but, diffuse the situation just like you do if it was a street fight between your two best friends or something. Diffuse the situation. Do the same thing with your woman as you see she's upset. Give her a hug, give her a kiss, and say, come on now, we'll talk about this. What do you need? What can I help you with? What do you want from me? And then, if you at all possible, give it to her, okay? Because one of my clients is a psychotherapist and a minister, and he was telling me that one of the number one problems that he sees when he does his marriage consultations in his amongst his parishioners, his congregation, whatever they are, is that the men want to dominate and the women want to be understood. The thing that women want is not for a man to impress them, but for women want to be pleased. That's what they want. So they want, when their man does something, to be happy about what he does. When he says something, to be happy about what he says. So if guys kept that, I thought that was brilliant because it basically summed up in one sentence what men need to think about. Before you open that big pie hole, think, is this bullshit I'm about to say gonna make my woman smile, or is it gonna make her upset? And if the answer is not gonna make her smile, then don't say it. It's that simple. Because 99% of the stuff that men say is just irrelevant and immaterial stuff anyway. Stuff that nobody cares about, or it's not really adding anything to the conversation or making the relationship any better. Is griping, criticism, and complaints. And, so I know some men say the same thing about women. And ladies, if that applies to you, where you get ready to say, so you talk, crazy to your man all the time, you need to apply the same rule to yourself. Before you say it, is it going to make my man smile, or is it going to piss him off? If it's going to make him mad, it's nothing that's really necessary, don't say it. If it's like the plumbing is busted, or, one of the kids is in juvenile, okay, she's going to be mad about that, but that's nothing you can really help. But, if it's something about, some old BS complaint about something that don't matter, just keep it to yourself. It doesn't make any sense to complain and, cause a bunch of strife in your house over nothing. So that's communication. Okay, let's get this call 334. What's your question or comment?
Well, hello, Miss Heartbeat. How are you tonight?
I'm just fine. What's going on?
This is Reese. Enjoying the program as always.
Oh, well, thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm going to add my little 2 cents.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad a guy finally called in.
Okay. Well, in my personal opinion, I think a guy should do what it takes. And that means if we have to babysit. He's going to do that anyway, but he's going to do it on a constant basis. Based on his woman or his wife want to go out with the girls, he gonna do that. He gonna help around the house. He gonna cook. He gonna make those decisions that you already talked about. And I think it's like you already said. I think it's important to listen and to just to do those things that's gonna please her. I mean, it's taking those shoes out, give her a massage, a body rub, or whatever, those little things sometimes will go a long way in my personal opinion. And
you are so right.
I think if we can just zone in on those things and more things, just she'll eventually show, in my opinion, show a person or her man what she likes and what she doesn't like. I think it's important for the man to be paying attention. Those are my 2 cents.
Well, those are excellent big old pennies there. Thank you. Okay, I'll put you back on hold. So, he made some good comments, and I like that, showing sensitivity to, like, say your woman's been on her feet all day. Baby, sit down, let me rub, give you a little foot rub. Why don't you lay here on the couch and let's talk? And while they're talking, she can unload and they can have a few laughs and he can rub her feet. That brings a couple closer. That's great stuff. That's nice. That's really nice. So let's talk about honesty. Now, a few minutes ago, I gave you an example of a friend of mine whose boyfriend called her because they were supposed to meet up and work out at the gym. He knows she's trying to lose weight. That's her New Year's resolution. He bought her the gym membership, at his gym so they could go together. That was the whole point. So they have this standing cardio thing. Now, instead of him being honest and telling her, I'm just, don't want to go tonight, he lied and said that he hurt his back and that he was taking naproxen and he was so sleepy. So when she gets home from the gym, having gone by herself, he's all laid out on the bed. And so she, does dinner and everything, feeds him because she's thinking his back is hurt, right? So she brings him food in. She's being considerate. She's being gracious. Now, all of a sudden, when she gets in the bed, now all of a sudden his back is magically and miraculously healed, and he ready for all his bedroom action. She's like, your back is hurting, remember? And, his lip is all stuck out. But, you set yourself up in that dude by lying. So now, he doesn't realize it, but he's lost a little bit of trust. Every time he does that kind of stuff, she's going to be looking at him sideways. And that's what men don't understand. You guys choose sometimes the path of least resistance because you think it's going to, get you out of this momentary discomfort and uncomfortable situation. Don't do that. Even if it's something that's going to, make her stick her lip out, at least she knows you are telling her the truth. That is more important than anything else if you want to have a successful long-term relationship with a woman. She needs to be always confident that what you tell her is the God-honest truth. And once you have a woman like that, don't mess it up. That's what dudes do. And you mess it up, and then your relationship starts to suffer for it. She's like second guessing you. She's withholding. She's looking at you crazy. And, she does always that doubt thing. When you say stuff, she's doubting you. And you don't understand why. Well, you set that dynamic in motion by lying. And those little tiny lies like that will come back to haunt you later. So, my friend, she had a straight attitude with her boyfriend because she felt deceived. And if you're going to deceive her about some little stuff like that, little bullshit stuff, how is she supposed to trust you about something serious? You see what I mean? So you guys need to be real careful about when you choose to lie to your woman. I'm going to suggest that you never do that. Always tell her the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be for you in that moment. Be honest, okay? Honesty is key. Now let's talk about loyalty. This is something that's really high on women's list. Loyalty is sometimes guys don't show that when, say, they're in a social setting or a family situation. Say your mother disagrees with something about the way your child is dressed or something that you guys are teaching your child. She feels like your mother, your wife rather, is the cause of this thing that she disapproves of. Too many men will throw their hands up and back up like they're out of it, like it's between the two women. No. You better stand next to your wife and defend her. I don't care if you do disagree. You disagree when you get home. And right there in front of your family, in front of your friends, in front of your boss, in front of her boss, in front of whoever it is, you side with your mate. Don't you ever do that to her. And it's the kind of thing, I see it all the time. Somebody will make a joke, a little crack, and instead of the man coming to his wife's defense, his girlfriend's defense, he's going to join in with other people. Yeah, man, I told her she needed to get some more, lose some of that booty. I like some ass, but she got way too much. Or, I don't know why she got to do that. Blah, blah, blah. See, at that moment, you are being disloyal. You would hate it if she did that mess to you, so don't you ever do it to your woman. I'm telling you, you will destroy your relationship with that kind of stuff, because then she doesn't feel like you're on her side. You're not on her side. If something happens to your kids at school and your kid is being mistreated, don't you leave that for her to go to the school and fight that battle by herself. You get your ass in your car, you sit next to your woman, you sit next to your child's in the back seat, y'all go to school and you fight that battle together. That is how you show loyalty to your woman and to your family and to your children. Don't you ever leave your woman to fight any kind of battle like that by herself. That is so wrong. And I see so many men do that, and their wives just feel so abandoned. And the kids, feel like daddy doesn't care. I mean, it's just terrible. So you guys, come on now. You got to think about the stuff that you do. Yeah, the all-star game is on. Yeah, the game's on, football's on. You want to see the game. But it's parents' night at school. Get your ass up and go to school. It's an hour or two of your time, and it will make all the difference in the world to your children and to your wife. So you do it. Now, that's loyalty. Even against your mother, you stand with your wife. That's the way it is. If you can't do that, then that means you're married to the wrong person, and then you need to get a divorce. But don't you ever put your wife out as a sacrifice and let your family gnaw on her ass, or your friends tease her and taunt her and hurt her feelings, and you don't stand up for her. That's just wrong. Now let's talk about commitment. This is another big thing the women are looking for. I wanted to hear how guys show this. How do you prove to a woman that you are committed to her? Say it before you even get married. How does that happen? I was talking about this to the guy at the gym yesterday, and he was like, he moved out here from South Carolina. So he's like a kid in a candy store. Nice looking little brother. He's like 30. And he's like, I'm not trying to be committed. I'm this, I'm that. But, he has a baby's mama, and he's like, well, if I was ready to be committed, she would be the one, because he had all these great things to say about her, but he's basically on a booty hunt right now. I said, okay. So, at least he's honest enough to know that he's not trying to be, committed to her right now. But in a situation where someone was committed, he's like, well, how do you know? Like, I have yet to see any man who's married or, in a committed relationship, some woman come up in him trying to get at him, and he's going to say, baby, as much as I would like to, I'm not going to do, I'm not going to get with you because I have this woman. He said, I ain't never met no man like that. And that was very shocking to me, because I have met many men that would do just that. They're not trying to mess up what they have at home, and they're very open about it and very firm. They have very, very firm boundaries. But the fact that he could say at 30 years of age that he'd never met a man who would do such a thing, I felt my stomach kind of flip and sink, because that was just really bad. So what you basically have then is a bunch of guys who are in what's supposed to be committed relationships that he doesn't feel from his perspective that they really are committed to. That is very sad. So just because some woman comes up tempting you does not mean that you go with it. That is a punk man, because that is the first sign of a challenge, the first little tease or taunt. You, as my favorite phrase is, fold like a bad poker hand and go running off with this broad. Where's your commitment to what you stood up in church and said in front of your family and friends? Where is that? What are you doing? And I just don't get that, this very casual, cavalier attitude that a lot of people have about the commitments they make. I'm a firm believer, if you don't want to uphold any kind of commitment, don't make any. Just stay single. But don't get married looking for the benefits of having a wife and a family and then think you're supposed to still be bed hopping like you did when you were single. That's wrong. Whether you are male or female, that is wrong behavior. But, sadly, like I said, I was talking to a young man about men, and that is what he said. So that's why this conversation is directed towards men. Okay, 334. Did you have another question or comment?
Well, no, but I'll just, well, yes, I'm going to say yes. I think it is important for us guys to go to the PTA in Portsmouth, Alabama, and particular school system. My daughter in, we don't have one, but up until that point, I did go to the PTA meeting, PTO, and what have you, and we men must step up to the plate and be those fathers particularly our daughters are looking for, because they need a strong role model in their life. And for those brothers who have stepped up to the plate, I commend them, but there are so many not doing that. And I think they can find time to do other things. I think they should do those things, the way of spend that quality time with their kids. And I think it'll go a long way. Those are my comments.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, let me get 843. Your mic's open again. What's your question or comment?
All right, I didn't know 334. I don't know what part of Alabama he's from. I'm from Montgomery myself. But to talk to brother in the gym. All right, my thing is that one, I'm a single guy. I'm 31. I've turned down women's advances before, and I'm single. He got to realize that, hey, men need to stop being controlled by the poontang pie, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, like, you may be begging for it. Because, let's be honest, you're married. We all know how divorce laws are. So why are you going to risk that for a few minutes of tail? You know that you're going to divorce, you're going to get your alimony, you're going to be paying child for all this money out the ass for a piece of ass. It's not
right.
worth
It probably
it.
wasn't even that good anyway.
You know what I tell them also? No man is like, let's say, I'm talking for men right now. He can say he's not looking for a commitment till he meets that woman he wants to commit to. And that I tell it to any guy.
Well, you're telling it right. And that's, and it just breaks women's hearts. And, people don't understand, like, especially, the women in your age group, these guys are like on first marriages. So when people are getting married the first time, they're getting married with this full fantasy of happily ever after and stars in their eyes. Guys don't realize the value of that kind of open love. When you mess that up, that you will never, ever, ever be loved like that again. You can forget it, because all the women have, it's like, people start getting that baggage and they get protective and stuff. So they can't, the love is different. As you get older, people still love you, but it's different. It's always with a little bit guarded, a little bit more self-protective. It's never the same as when you're really young and it's your first, real long-term love affair like that. It's never the same. But guys don't understand that. They don't value it, and they mess it up, and then, they spend the rest of their life looking for it again. And it's just, you better appreciate it while you got it. A woman will never, ever, ever love you that much and that openly like your first wife. It just will never happen. And that's it. That's the real deal. Heard it from me.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Hey, I'm trying to, give you some stuff.
But you know what, though? When you talk about that man messing up, you'd be surprised. Some of those men just don't care. And I'll be honest,
I know.
It ruins it for guys like me. I'm like, damn, I gotta climb Mount Vesuvius.
I know. You're right. They really don't. There's a lot of damaged people out here. They're emotionally and psychologically damaged from whatever happened to them in their own childhood. And, a lot of times it doesn't really come out until they're involved in a long-term relationship. They can put on an act for sometimes years. But once they get, to a point where of, complete vulnerability, that's when the fool comes out. And it's just a sad thing. I see it all the time. But thanks for calling. I'm going to try to finish up this. I got about 30 minutes left. So, but yeah, let's call back in. Just press 1 again, okay? Okay, I see DEFCON on the line. DEFCON, you got a comment, a question?
How you doing this evening?
Hello,
hi.
you hear me?
What's going on? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I kind of wanted to comment on a couple of things. One, that young guy you said you encountered who just moved out in your area. You said he didn't know anybody who was.
He's been out here about 2 years, and he's from South Carolina somewhere.
Yeah, because I guess I have a. I guess I have a problem with that. It's kind of like birds of a feather flock together. I had this discussion with some guys at work where they were busy talking about they didn't know anybody who was married and happy. Now, I'm single, but basically all of my good friends who are married, they don't, run around or anything like that. And, it's the same. Like, I have a son, and all the other guys I know kind of take care of kids. And the guy, I'm not around guys who don't. And I think that says a lot about a lot of people, where you may know people who are doing some things that are proper or not what you would expect, but that says a lot of appreciations of what you become comfortable with. Because it's just like if you're around a bunch of people that steal and you say you don't steal, sooner or later you find out you're gonna feel like it's okay. And a lot of times I do think a lot of women don't look at that in a man in terms of his associations or his view of various associations, because it's just like now when I was in college I had friends who were knuckleheads and all of that, and now they would smoke. They knew I didn't, so as soon as they started I would go. Now by the time I graduated, we were acquaintances more than friends. I got my degree, they got a job at UPS. But I think a lot of time, that's what happens when people, I put a class in there where a lot of times people don't look at where someone focuses their time and effort. That tells you a whole lot. You don't have to ask a lot of questions. Because if you come to a guy's house and he's got plenty of liquor, plenty of that, alright, now if it's quality stuff, that's one thing. But if it's just a bunch of, you don't have to ask him a question. He's already telling you without saying a word what's important.
Alex.
And sometimes,
so DEFCON, he's only 30. He just made 30. So it's like, he's talking about the guys that he, like the older cats that were around when he was growing up. And so...
okay.
Yeah, he just basically...
I knew, like
a kid.
Yeah, well, I mean, now, I knew... you knew of people, but still, most of the people, even my father, kind of the same way. He's not really going to associate with someone who's getting involved in stuff that damage your reputation, as well as possibly put you in situations where, your integrity is going to be challenged. You have to kind of control that. I call that personal leadership. You make choices where you are, because I got one friend of mine, a son, he in his 30s, and he's like, they split up quite a while ago, and a lot of it was due to real stupid stuff. He started deciding to play around on us some. Everybody he hung around was doing the same thing, and that's what he felt that everybody was doing. And I'm like, look here. Now, you and your wife got your own issues, but I said, you don't find someone else like us. His parents at the restaurant, I said, your wife will come up there and help out. You come up there and help out, she'll help out. I said, you ain't gonna get that. You can remember that. And then he got out there, he was just playing around, he wanted getting this girl pregnant who, I don't like to use the term jump off, but I just say, he's just having some sexual sport. Right. But he wasn't that serious. Now she's pregnant and giving him a hard time, and I'm sitting up, we were talking, and he first got involved with us. Man, first of all, you should be playing around, but second of all, why are you playing around with someone, you playing around, but the relationship was a lot more serious in her mind than in yours. And he started laughing and said, man, it ain't funny because it's about to get serious. All right.
Yeah, it's about to be
few months
for the
later.
rest of your life, brother.
Oh yeah, and that's the point I was trying to make. And I said, look, man, you too old to be acting a fool like this. You know, he's over 30, and his father walked out of the room and said, I'm glad you're around to talk to him because he really can't discuss these things with him anymore, and his mother kind of likes him being dependent on her. Which I said, look, man, you got to get on with things. You know, I said, you can talk about having a whole list of women out there. I said, and that ain't hard to get. But you struggling in aspects of your life. You know, you struggling to try to get a job, but you still chasing down women, and you know, he likes women who like weed. And I'm like, you pulling yourself down. And I said, and plus, that money you spending on weed, this is money you should have. You try to, you know, you keep saying you want to get back in school. You don't really want to do that. He argued with me. I said, all right, gotta save money for tuition or buy weed for you and this woman. Well, you gotta have some fun. I said, you already told me what's important. It's the weed.
There you go. Well, definitely, I need to move on and finish up the show.
Yeah.
I got about 25 minutes left, but you
all
made
right.
some great points. And I hope these young brothers listen. Well, thanks for calling, dude.
All right, you take it easy. Have a good evening.
You too. Now, see, guys, he was talking about, some stuff about priorities, which is some of the things that I was talking about. You know, the commitment and dependability and integrity factor. In this instance, this young man is going to be a father, and he's a knucklehead, just a straight knucklehead. Now, why this woman would choose to have a baby by somebody with no job and that thinks that, you know, it's a big deal to sit around smoking weed all the time is beyond my understanding and comprehension. I don't understand it. But like I said earlier, there are a lot of emotionally damaged people in the world, and, you know, a lot of women that have been brainwashed to think that having a man, any man, is what they need to do versus, you know, waiting to find a man of quality and becoming a person of quality themselves. So this just sounds like another one of those types of situations that is just very, very sad. Now let's talk about compassion. How would a man demonstrate to a woman that he is a compassionate and a compassionate person? This is one of the qualities of, to me, what makes a man a good man. It's not so much that he goes to church and that he, does all those things, spouts all the proper rhetoric. I want to see what you do. And when a man is a compassionate guy, no, he doesn't have menstrual cramps, but he can understand how it might hurt. So if his baby's rolling around in the bed, he's going to bring her some Tylenol and a heating pad, turn the lights down, and cover her up, give her a kiss, and, wait till the medicine kicks in until she feels better. He's not going to say, oh, you women and always having an excuse for something, not to do something. I've heard guys say that. Likewise, when a woman is pregnant, women get backaches, they get nausea, they have their legs and feet swell up, they don't feel comfortable. A friend of mine called me crying, sobbing, because there was some party that a friend of theirs gave. And, she had bought a nice little maternity dress to wear. Honey, do you know her husband had the nerve to tell her that he didn't want her to go because she was all big and everything, end quote. That is what that fool said to her. She was so brokenhearted. I'm thinking, man, see, this is when you head to the nearest divorce attorney and just sever all ties because he is a fool. And sure enough, more things happened after the baby was born, and sure enough, they ultimately ended up getting a divorce. But, how thoughtless and inconsiderate would you really have to be to say something like that to your pregnant wife? What a dork. So, and compassion would be say you know that your woman, they're having layoffs at her job and she's worried about losing the job, so she's putting in extra hours to make sure she's not one of the people laid off. Yeah, it might be uncomfortable. You might be used to having dinner, cooked by your wife at a certain time. Okay, but you know what? There's a something bigger here than what's your empty stomach right now. So, hit the takeout, open up a cookbook, do some microwave meals, go eat at your mama's house, whatever you need to do to make that happen, that situation tolerable. And when you come leave your mama's, bring her a plate. You know what I mean? So that's how you show compassion and how you show support. It's not all about you. What else can we talk about? Hardworking, and that's pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of guys think that the work that they do outside the home is all that is necessary to show that they're, quote, hardworking. They figure that everything in the home, or at least most of the stuff in the home, they might mow grass or something, paint or something, big things, but they feel like everything else in the house is the woman's job. Well, that's not quite true, because you feel like you see it. Look at the things that the guys do. That's probably stuff that gets done once a year, cleaning gutters and leaves and stuff, twice a year maybe. Power washing off the house, mowing the lawn. Okay, that's once every 2 weeks or whatever. Stuff. Dishes have to be done every day. If you have a family with 3 or 4 kids in it, even 2, you throwing in a load of laundry at least once a day. Some days, 2 or 3, depending if you got kids that play sports and they need their uniforms washed and things like that. So, there's things that men don't understand that require their input and involvement on a daily basis that would show that they're, quote, hardworking. Help with the homework, help with the stories, help with the baths, help folding the laundry, help do things that make you and your wife have some time together. You and your woman, even if you're not married, have time together outside of your responsibilities for the upkeep of your shared household. And that's very important, and it shows that you're willing to pitch in and really be a partner to your woman and not stuck on these, rigid roles and things. Now, I want to address something that was said in the chat room that this one guy was saying that this show was balanced, but now it seems like to be men against women or women against men. That is not true. The whole point of this show and any shows where I'm talking about options for men is so that you guys could understand how you can make your relationship better. It is not should not ever be looked at as me having some criticisms of you unless you are consistently doing these negative things, in which case your ultimate criticism is going to be a breakup or a divorce. That's not going to come from me, that's going to come from your woman. What I'm trying to do is pull your coat so that if you see that you are doing any of these things that I'm talking about, or you are not supporting your woman, if you're not demonstrating commitment, if you're not showing her that you are trying to communicate honestly with her and be loyal and compassionate, and these are things that you haven't really thought about that might be missing in your relationship, I'm here to help you bring them to your house, to your love, to your wife, your girlfriend, whoever. That's what I'm here for. So don't look at this as like any kind of criticism of you, like I said, unless you are not doing these things, in which case, yes, your butt is criticized and you need to step up and stop sitting on your butt and get busy. So that I wanted to address that comment in case anyone else thinks it as well. You cannot fix a problem unless you acknowledge that it exists. So trying to pretend that, every man in his relationship is perfect is ridiculous. Just like I jam up women too. It's like, everybody makes mistakes. That is the whole purpose why I do this show and devote my time and energy to it, is to help people understand what they may be doing wrong that's shooting themselves in the foot in their relationship. So when I say these things, you can sit back and say, wow, maybe I didn't do that, or maybe, oh yeah, I do remember when my mother was criticizing my wife, and I just didn't say anything. I just put my head down, or I went into the other room. Basically, you know what I mean? So you guys think about some of the stuff in these little ways that you could make your relationship better. That's what I'm here for. That's the whole purpose of this show. And if you want to get married, and you know women are kind of running off from you keep having girlfriends, but it never really goes, it never moves to the next level, it never gets that serious, the women look at you crazy and leave your ass. That is something that you need to address. Yeah, like Sniper says, and like sexing up a woman as if sex is the most important thing in a relationship. It's so not. I mean, it's cute and everything. It's wonderful. Believe me, it's, great when it's great. But okay, what about when you get up? What about the other, 23 and a half hours in the day? Like, we need to be able to get on together and, make a life together that is meaningful and satisfying and joy-filled for both of us and anyone else who joins our household, like children, aging parents, whatever. And, you can love the sex, but the sex has to be with the man who's going to love you. And you want that, respect and that kind of support. Otherwise, you just have like a jump-off situation. If you're not getting the support that you need, that means that man doesn't mean, you don't mean that much to him. Who wants to be in a situation like that? I mean, that's just crazy. If that's what he wants, he can just get a hooker for that. So, you guys, that's all part of the whole big picture. And the sex, if you have great communication and you ladies, you feel like your man has your back 100%, he's never going to leave you hanging. He is just the most wonderful, supportive, encouraging guy. There is nothing that won't happen that's great with that couple, because that man is proving to her that he is the good man that he said he was, and he's backing it up with action. And that is what I wanted to see, and that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. That's how you show that you're really husband material. These guys that are, smoking weed and ripping and running around, leaving their woman hanging, saying they're going to do stuff, they don't never do it. They say they're going to help her, they don't never help. They disappoint their children, say, I'm going to come pick you up, they don't come. They say they're going to do stuff in the community and for their family and friends, they don't do it. Those are people that are not dependable. They are not quality people. They have questionable morals and values, and they will not make, ladies, they will not make a good husband. So if you know a guy like that, leave him alone. That's boyfriend material. That's just a fun, good time. But you don't fall in love with a man like that, and you definitely don't have his baby, and you don't put him in any kind of situation in your life where you need to depend on him. He's not going to be there. Pay attention to the signs. He can't even be there for himself. What the hell do you think he's going to do for you? He's just a knucklehead. Let's leave that alone. Leave that kind of man alone. Look for a man of quality and of substance. There are plenty out there, but you need to put them through their paces. Don't just take them on his word. Like I said, you want to see some action, actionable items. If he's doing the things that I talked about in this broadcast, then that is the man. That's the man that you want, because he's so busy doing. He ain't talking about it. He's doing it. Now, the same goes under the category of, goal-oriented. One of our callers talked about her brother-in-law, how he set goals for himself to prove to the woman he wanted to marry that he could be the man that she needed. What did he do? He set educational goals for himself. He set career goals for himself. He set monetary and property goals for himself. He did that on his own. Now, this is important, because even on my Facebook page today, I put up a note that was asking, where do men and women get the idea that a man, quote, cannot be a man without a woman's help? Now, this is a sticky subject, and one that, just gives me a great deal of irritation, because of the fact that there are so many men and women that feel like women are responsible for, quote, making a man feel like a man. My question is, why can't he feel like a man on his own? I feel like a woman on my own. I don't need a man in my face to make me feel like a woman. I'm a woman 24/7, 365, without any man's, acknowledgement or support. I am a woman. I decided that. But so many guys seem to feel like they need a woman to, quote, make them feel like a man. And fellas, I'm telling you, that is not a man. If that is your mentality, you are a boy, and you are looking for support and nurturing and caretaking like somebody's your mama. And your woman, your wife, your girlfriend is not your mother. So if you didn't get enough of that nurturing and stuff from womb until, age 18, you need to go get some couch time and handle that. That's not your woman's job to make you, quote, feel like a man. That's your job. Whatever you need to do to make yourself feel confident and, secure and like you have something to offer and that you're a person of quality, purpose, and conviction, that is what you need to work on. And once you get that together, you will be very, a lot more attractive to a lot of more women than you are right now while you're feeling doubting yourself and looking for somebody to prop you up. A woman trying to do all that, especially, women in their 30s and maybe in their 40s, or even some of these girls in their 20s, they already have a kid that they're taking care of. They don't need no 200-pound child. Get your shit together. And then, you might have something to offer somebody, including yourself. That's the number one person. So if you feel good about you, then you will feel good about what you have to offer in a relationship, and it'll be all good. So, yeah, those of you on Facebook, I'm, which page is this on? This is on my Deborah Cooper page, not on my Miss Heartbeat page. So if you do a search for me, you should be able to find it. So, let's see. Oh, they clowned in the chat room. Let me cover a couple of other, let's see, we have about 10 minutes left and cover a couple of other points here. If anyone has any points they would like to share, you can feel free to call in the final 10 minutes of the show. 347-327-9215. That's 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad, and I'll take your call. We're down to, like I said, the last 10 minutes of the show. So it's important if you got something to say, get your call in now. We're talking about some of the things that men can do to show women that they are indeed the man of quality and the, quote, good man that they say they are. This is a very important topic, and to get women to pay more attention to what men do than what they say. And I'm looking for the guys to say the kind of stuff they do. And ladies, if you have some insight into some of the things that men have done in your life, your own husband, your own father, or other male role models that you've seen set positive examples of growth-oriented behavior, I'd like to hear from you as well. Now let's talk about the emotional aspect of a relationship and what a man can to prove to his woman that he is a solid, emotionally stable man that she can depend on. Now that, the umbrella is big under emotional the emotional makeup. But basically it includes psychological characteristics, how someone behaves emotionally and how they express themselves emotionally. A man who is violent would come under the emotionally unstable type. An abusive man, unstable. Controlling, unstable. That's not what you want. You want a person that has a positive perspective on the world. Now, we've had many, guys come into the thing. They're not necessarily the happiest people, and I would not say that they represent the majority of men under any circumstances. But there have been, some callers and people that have visited this show that are very unhappy with women. They are pretty much toxic in some of the ways they express their disdain of the female gender. If you run into a man like that, you need to make a UE, I can't even tell you how fast, and go in the opposite direction. There is nothing that you can do with a man that hates women, because he, no matter what you do, is always going to be suspect, is always going to be questioned, and you're never going to be able to relax into a relationship and be yourself, because you'll always be feeling like he's judging you and just waiting for you to, quote, mess up so he can talk about, I knew you were like that, you just like all the rest of them. You don't want to involve yourself with a person like that, because they're emotionally unhealthy. No matter how many other qualities they may have that are good, that being able to have a solid and stable emotional connection with a man is key to your long-term happiness, lady. You can't have an eggshell type relationship where you're always waiting for him to say something foul and funky to you, throw a tantrum, throw things across the room, bust his fist through the wall, all that kind of stuff. I've seen all that kind of thing. And then women will say, oh, but he's a good provider. Everything's perfect except for that. No, everything's not perfect. He sucks. So you don't want that. You want a nice, level-headed guy that's calm, that's got a high sense of self-esteem, that's confident, that can share, that can commit to you, and that understands what intimacy is, emotional intimacy. And, he's willing to talk to you and share himself with you. That's how you really get to know your man and how you let him know you. You guys have to really, be open to each other. Open your hearts, open your minds, and share histories and share futures and dreams. And that, curled up, cuddled up next to each other, talking about stuff, that is how you get develop real closeness. But if you have a man who is constantly busy with other things or other people, his work, his hobbies, his friends, whatever, he's always doing something else, so that you two never have that quiet time together to really bond with each other, you have a shallow, fragile relationship that could break apart at any time. That might be okay for a little while, while you first get to know somebody before you get really invested. But there's no way that that's going to be a satisfying relationship for anybody long term. And when a couple aren't close like that, it's very easy for one or both of them to, tip out and cheat, because they're not really tied to each other. That's very important. So you got to find a man who's emotionally available and who's comfortable being vulnerable, who's got a high level of self-esteem, who's confident, and who acknowledges his strengths and weaknesses, and and embraces them and is okay with them. That's the number one thing. Now, sexual compatibility is also important. Now, I'm not talking about all the freaky stuff, but I'm talking about desire and frequency and interest. I mean, if you have a partner that is, like, say, for instance, into porn or some, animals or whatever, some crazy stuff, and that's not you, okay, well, you're not sexually compatible with that individual, and, just let that go. Don't try to force yourself to be with someone whose interests and proclivities are way outside your box of your comfort range, because you're never going to be comfortable there. It's just not going to work for you. And, some people like a lot of romance. Some people just like the down and dirty. Some people like a variety. If you like a variety, you should get a person that likes a variety as well. Otherwise, they'll be frustrated with your interests, and you'll be frustrated with their, always wanting everything to be candle lit and, with music and flowers and wine and stuff. I mean, that stuff is great, but not everybody wants that all the time. It's just like having filet mignon all the time. Sometimes you just want a greasy cheeseburger and fries and a milkshake. So, you see what I mean? So you've got to have that stuff balanced out. Intellectual compatibility. Can your man intellectually what you're looking for long term? Now, this does not, in my mind, necessarily have to equate with a degree. I mean, degrees are nice, but it does have to equate with his intelligence level and his ability to learn, willingness to learn, and then apply what he has learned, because learning takes place outside of formal environments as well. But if you have a man who has no interest in learning anything, and you're a person that likes to read and go to lectures and, look at new things at the library and museums, and, you're reading the paper, you're looking at, all these different magazines, and Scientific America, whatever, you read Psychology Today, because you like to know what's going on in the world and in science and things like that, you're going to have a person who is not compatible with you and who does not support that part of yourself. So they'll either have to hide it, or they'll be in a position where they're putting it down, and neither one is good. So you want to find someone who is able to match you intellectually. You guys have something in common there, and he shows it by embracing the learnings that you have. You guys have conversations about things other than the bills and the kids and what's on TV. You discuss concepts and politics or whatever is of interest to you, and that is a different kind of intimacy. That's a mental connection that you have with your man. That is also wonderful, because you respect his thinking. You guys share a lot of great ideas together. You can have fun together, as well as engage in some nice mental discourse. So that is also a key thing, and another way that a man might show that he is a man of quality and a, quote, good man. So the bottom line here is that getting married, you have to really look at a lot of areas of compatibility. Excuse me. Look at a lot of areas of compatibility and notice, people can have differences. I'm not saying that. But if their differences are too wide and too different, it'll strain your relationship. You've got to have a solid foundation of communication, and you have to trust your man. That is mandatory. And like I said, marriage, that is a big step. I think a lot of people enter into it without really thinking about it the way that they should. It's one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. It looks like fun. It's like a big party. You get to wear a nice dress and all, be the queen of the day and all that old stuff. But that's just the wedding. The real work takes place after you say I do. And it's, for guys, it takes a lot of work on your part to create happiness for a lifetime with just one woman. It's easy to ditch out and run around. But, stick to your standards. Find a woman whose life and belief system is in sync with yours. And ladies, please do the same thing. Start your marriage off on the right foot, and don't you settle for anything less than what you deserve.